What are the 5 mistakes you don't want to make when you go to your immigration interview? Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States out of our office here in St. Louis, Missouri. I wanted to make a video to go over some tips that I have for you that I give to all of our clients before we go to an interview at USCIS. Might be a naturalization interview, might be a green card interview, might even be an interview overseas for a spouse or a fiance who are trying to get a visa at a U.S. embassy. And there's 5 things that you need to keep in mind. And the first one is you don't want to forget. You don't want to forget your documents. You don't want to forget your identity documents. You don't want to forget all your evidence of your marriage if it's a marriage-based case. You don't want to forget your green card if it's a naturalization case. You want to go over that list that USCIS sends you that sets out all the things that you're supposed to bring to your interview. If it's a marriage case, you need to bring your updated marital evidence, and if you have any more leases or photos or all the other kinds of things that we use to demonstrate that a marriage is valid, you don't want to forget those. We've had interviews where clients forget these things and it can really cause problems. The officer might cancel the interview, the officer might postpone the interview, the officer might send you home to go get your documents, and everybody's left waiting, and they might even issue a request for evidence, and that's the one thing you don't ever want to get. So you don't want to forget your documents, you don't want to forget your driver's license and your ID, everything, so don't forget. The next thing is guessing. You don't want to guess. Don't guess at your interview. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you get asked a question and you're not sure of the answer, don't guess. You can ask the officer to clarify what they're asking, and a lot of times we'll see people who don't have English as their primary language, and even those who do, not understanding a question that the officer's asking, and instead of just asking for clarification, they just guess. They go ahead and answer, and that's a really bad idea. It's bad for a lot of reasons. One is you could answer a question in a way that makes you inadmissible or not eligible for a green card. It can make you not going to get your case approved, and I'll give you a few examples. I had a client once down in Memphis whose English wasn't that great, and she was doing the naturalization part of the test where they're going over all the questions about bad behavior. Have you ever been a drug dealer or a prostitute or anything like that? And they get to the question, have you ever knowingly helped someone enter the United States illegally? And my client heard the word helped, and she thought, oh, help, yes, I'll help. And she was thinking it was about the oath questions as opposed to helping someone sneak into the United States illegally. So she said yes. And even though she'd already passed her English test, the officer postponed the interview and told her that she needed to get better on her English because she had guessed at the answer. And we've also seen cases where people come to us and they guess an answer which leads to a denial. So don't guess when you're dealing with USCIS. You want to make sure that you understand their question, and you want to make sure that they understand your answer. Speaking of questions, the next thing you don't want to do, the third tip that I have for you today, is you don't want to interrupt. The officer is running the interview, and experienced officers can get you in and out relatively quickly if you don't interrupt them. Each officer has their own rhythm, each officer has their own quirks and their own way of asking questions, but some of these officers have been doing it for such a long time that they can consolidate questions into one, or they can really do things to make the case go along faster. So don't interrupt. Don't be trying to figure out where the officer's going with the questions. Just go with the flow, listen to the question, pause, and answer the question as concisely as you can. You don't want to give big long speeches. You just want to go ahead and answer the question. But most importantly, don't interrupt, because it's rude, and officers get put off by that. I've seen clients who've been completely rude to immigration officers, if you can believe that. The team around here likes to joke about how deferential I am when I'm on the phone with a judge. Yes, judge, whatever you say, Your Honor, of course, judge. That should be your approach when dealing with an immigration officer. You don't have to be kissing butt, but at the same time, you want to be very deferential. And remember that you're sitting inside their office, and think of it that way, that you're letting them run the show. Obviously, if they ask something that's untoward or something that they shouldn't be asking, you can turn to your lawyer, or you can ask to see a supervisor. But for the most part, let the officer do their job. They know much more about the process than you do, and if you interrupt them, it'll make them angry or it'll cause them to ask more questions. So don't do that. All right, so the next question is, the next thing you don't ever want to do when you're at your immigration interview is to lie to the officer. So you don't ever want to lie about anything in your application. There are questions that are in the application that you could answer yes to that would still allow you to get the immigration benefit that you want, but you also got to be careful not to lie about those things. So lying to an immigration officer is a very big deal. If you get found to have committed some kind of immigration fraud, or if they find that you have lied to them, that can prohibit you from ever getting another immigration benefit. So you want to make sure that you always tell the truth. This is one good reason why it's helpful to work with an immigration lawyer and to have an immigration lawyer prepare you for your interview, because you want to make sure that you answer the questions honestly and truthfully, and that you understand those questions. And the last thing that you don't want to do at your interview is you don't want to press the officer to give you an answer. It's fine to ask casually what's going to happen next, but a lot of times officers have to get supervisory review. There's other things that they have to do, so it's okay to say generally, when do you think that you're going to get me an answer? But you want to be respectful about it, and you want to be professional. I always think that our clients should treat it sort of like a job interview. They should dress up, they should be professional. And if you do these things, if you don't violate these 5 tips, I think you've got a much better chance of getting your case approved, whether it's a NATS case or a green card case or an embassy interview case. So we wish you all the best of luck. We hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please be sure to give us a call at 314-961-8200. Ask us any questions that you have. You can also email us at info@hackinglawpractice.com. Find us in our Facebook group, which is called Immigrant Home. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you get updates when we issue new videos just like this one. Thanks a lot and have a great day.